Thank you for joining us, and it's time for our news bulletin right here on Luntha television. And this time you're with me, Patrick Pupa. But first, our top stories. Pope Leo XIV urges Christians to be voices for peace, justice, and compassion. Leader of government in Parliament vows accurate and comprehensive park report on Amaris Hotel deal. HRDC raises alarm over rising murder cases, calls for urgent security and economic intervention. And in international news, Cameroon confirms death of 16 nationals enlisted in Russian army. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. Pope Leo XIV has encouraged Christians to remain steadfast witnesses of the gospel in a world increasingly shaped by misinformation, conflict, and more confusion. Speaking during the Regina Coeli on Easter Monday in St. Peter Square, the Holy Father emphasized and has urged the faithful to live and share the gospel amid widespread deception, violence, and social hardships. We have a Vatican News report read by Falis Kizombe.
Reflecting on the gospel story of the empty tomb, the Pope pointed out how the same event gave rise to two contrasting accounts: the woman who encountered the risen Christ and proclaimed his resurrection, and the guards who claimed the body has been stolen. From this, he explained, emerged two opposing interpretations, one affirming life, the other denying it. He noted that this tension persists today, as truth is often obscured by what is commonly referred to as fake news, including lies, distortions, and baseless claims that hinder the communication of reality. The Pope stressed the importance of ensuring that the truth of the gospel reaches those affected by evil and confusion, so that the message of the resurrection may inspire hope through both words and actions. Despite the challenges, he reminded Christians that truth endures. Recalling Christ's words, "Do not be afraid, go and tell," he emphasized that this call remains central to Christian witness today. He also drew attention to the many people around the world suffering from violence and deprivation, including communities impacted by war, persecuted Christians, and children denied access to education. Proclaiming the message of Christ's resurrection, he said, gives new life to hope, especially hope that is often suppressed by violence. At the end of his address, the Pope invited the faithful to remember with gratitude Pope Francis, recalling his deep example of faith and love, and entrusted the Church to the care of the Virgin Mary. He concluded with a prayer that Christians may grow into ever clearer and more courageous witnesses of the truth. He concluded with a prayer that Christians may grow into ever clearer and more courageous witnesses of the truth.
Leader of the August House, Japi Mhango, has defended the delay in tabling the Public Accounts Committee park report on the Amaris Hotel deal, stressing that the government will not be pressured into presenting what he described as incomplete or unverified document. Speaking in Parliament on Tuesday, Mhango explained that his actions are guided by constitutional, or rather Parliament rules and established procedures, and that this he will not be compelled to act on the matter. Alison Banda has filed this report, read by Adams Manlupembe.
Mhango underscored government's commitment to presenting a report that is thorough, credible and reflective of a full and partial investigation. He cautioned against rushing the process, noting that presenting an incomplete report could undermine public confidence and weaken parliamentary scrutiny. The leader of the House further stressed that he will not engage in or endorse half-baked findings, highlighting the importance of allowing the PAC sufficient time to conduct a meticulous review. He assured legislators that once the committee completes its work and the report meets the required standards of accuracy and reliability, it will be formally tabled before Parliament for consideration.
If you read our Standing Order 177, it says that if someone has been mentioned in any inquiry, the committee shall take every step to make sure that those mentioned either appear in person or issue a written statement about their involvement.
The developments prompted legislators from the Malawi Congress Party, MCP, to stage a walkout over the delay. The protest followed a ruling by the Deputy Speaker directing that the committee first conclude hearings with individuals implicated in the matter before presenting the report.
The Parliamentary Committee on Public Appointment has indicated that it will pursue suspected irregularities in the recruitment of some government officials once the August House rises this Friday. The development follows reports that several Director Generals in key parastatals were allegedly appointed without adhering to laid down recruitment procedures. Emmanuel Chocha reports.
In an interview with Luntha television, chairperson of the committee, Felix Njawala, said the committee is awaiting formal submission of the reported anomalies before taking action. Njawala explained that once the information is received, the committee will summon relevant authorities to account for their recruitment process in question. He emphasized that the committee remains committed to ensure transparency, accountability, and merit-based appointment in public institutions.
We are mandated to sanction any public official, but we are not involved in the recruitment process positions that you just mentioned. So the boards have recruited. If we have issues, we can summon the boards. We can as well summon any individual that probably we need some information from.
Commenting on the matter, social commentator Lakembewe has commended PAC for its efforts to ensure proper recruitment procedures are followed across various departments. However, he added that some parastatals cannot operate for longer periods without director, which is why the government sometimes appoints acting directors general.
Some, instances where by nature of the appointed person, they can actually appoint someone at an acting capacity. Up until such a time, proper recruitment procedures are followed in order to avoid delaying decision-making in those parastatals. That is also an issue that is acceptable and a very welcome process.
Some of the parastatals cited in the allegations include Malawi Broadcasting Corporation, MBC, and the Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi, ESCOM, among others. The committee intervention is expected to shed light on the matter and reinforce adherence to proper procedures in public sector appointments. For Luntha News, in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Chocha.
Minister of Agriculture Rosa Fachi Mbelezi has announced that the government will by the end of this week release an official price schedule to guide the buying and selling of farm produce across the country. Speaking in an interview after a parliamentary session in Lilongwe, Mbelezi said the move is aimed at protecting farmers from unfair trading and promoting transparency in agricultural markets. According to Mbelezi, the price schedule will help ensure farmers receive fair value for their produce, especially during the peak marketing season. Costas Kamtemeni reports.
Mbilizi has also confirmed that the Agricultural Development and Marketing Corporation (ADMAC) is ready to start buying crops once the prices are announced. She said ADMAC will help stabilize the market by offering reliable prices, particularly in rural areas where farmers have limited access to farm markets. The minister added that government has already put in place necessary arrangements to ensure a smooth buying process, including preparing storage facilities, deploying staff, and working with the relevant stakeholders.
Yes, there was that question and I responded to it that we'll soon release the farm gate prices, probably by Friday this week. It's very important that we have farm gate prices. It's not just about maize, but all other crops, including milk products.
The price schedule is expected to help reduce price manipulation and bring stability to the market during this year's selling season. For Luntha News, this is Constance Kamtenin.
Human Rights Defenders Coalition HRDC chairperson Michael Kayatsa has expressed concern over the rise in murder cases in the country, describing the trend as a violation of the right to life and a sign of declining security. Noting that the rise has instilled fear among many Malawians, Kayatsa has called on government to strengthen policing and address economic challenges to curb the escalating violence. Gift Kalonga with the details.
According to HRDC chairperson Michael Kayatsa, the rise in murder cases reflects deeper structural challenges that require urgent and coordinated attention from all stakeholders, warning that failure to act could further worsen public safety concerns. He stressed that responses to such incidents should go beyond immediate reactions and focus on long-term solutions. Kayatsa further emphasized the importance of strengthening law enforcement institutions to ensure that investigations are conducted thoroughly and suspects are brought to justice without delay. He noted that accountability within the justice system is key to restoring public confidence. He also pointed out that addressing underlying socio-economic pressure is essential in reducing crime rates, arguing that sustainable development and improved livelihoods could help reduce conditions that often contribute to violent behavior in communities.
Security. We need to see law enforcement agencies, particularly the police, increasing their patrols, but also ensuring that investigations into these criminal activities are done promptly and also transparently and fairly. We also need to see suspects being arrested and prosecuted.
Meanwhile, HRDC has fought a delay in prosecuting murder cases as fueling murder cases because perpetrators are not dealt with accordingly. Recently, social media platforms have been filled with discussions surrounding the murder of Liz Nyson, a student at Lake Malawi Anglican University in Lilongwe, as well as the discovery of the lifeless body of Charity Floriano in Machinga district. From Luntha News, this is Gift Kalonga.
In case you are just joining us, remember you are watching News Bulletin coming to you from Luntha Television, and you are with me, Patrick Pupa. But before proceed, let's take a commercial break and we'll be back straight after this.
Selfish chataya wera Service Charter ndi ndondomeko yomwe nthambi za boma zikugwiritsa ntchito potumikira anthu ndi cholinga chotukula ntchito za ulimi kuti alimi akhale ndi upangiri okwanira, za maphunziro kuti ophunzira alandire maphunziro oyenera, zosamalira chilengedwe kuti anthu apewe mchitidwe wodzetsa kusintha kwa nyengo, za umoyo kuti anthu alandire thandizo la kuchipatala moyenera komanso mu nthawi yache, za chitetezo kuti anthu athandizidwe ndi apolisi mopanda chinyengo, kusamalira ovutika kuti athe kudziyimira paokha ndi kutenga nawo mbali pa chitukuko, ndinso ntchito za madzi kuti anthu akhale ndi madzi aukhondo ndi kupewa matenda. Ndondomekoyi ithandiza kuonetsetsa kuti anthu akutumikiridwa mosapsinja maufulu awo kuti miyoyo yawo itukuke. Pitani kuti mukadziwe zambiri za mmene ndondomekozi zimagwirira ntchito.
Uthengawu akukupatsirani da Human Rights Resource Center mogwirizana ndi makhonsolo a Dowa, Mchisi ndi Nsanje ndi thandizo lochokera ku Norwegian Church Aid ndi Dan Church Aid.
Welcome back, but before we proceed, top stories once again. Pope Leo XIV urges Christians to be voices for peace, justice and compassion. Leader of government in parliament vows accurate and comprehensive park report on Amaris Hotel deal. HRDC raises alarm over rising murder cases, calls for urgent security and economic intervention. And in international news, Cameroon confirms death of 16 nationals enlisted in Russian army. Moving on with our news, the World Health Organization WHO has urged African governments, including Malawi, to increase investment in science, research and innovation to strengthen health systems, economic resilience and sustainable development. Speaking during a press briefing marking the 78th World Health Day on Tuesday, representative from WHO Charles Juguna said improving infrastructure in the country is a good thing, as he has also called for a stronger support for African-led science to expand the access to technology, data and knowledge. Tandiwe Mzumara has followed this report.
Dr. Charles Njuguna noted that science remains a practical force shaping solutions across Africa, with local scientists and institutions contributing significantly to global health. He observed that although Malawi has registered progress in reducing maternal and neonatal mortality, as well as improving life expectancy, there is a need for increased investment in the health sector through higher domestic allocations to build resilient health systems.
So for you to be able to achieve these indicators, you have to remember that you do need to do more investments in the healthcare to be able to achieve that. We need to strengthen the primary health care, as the Principal Secretary said, because that's where we can make a difference. When we take services closer to the people, when we ensure the mothers are accessing services, the antenatal care, and when they want to deliver, they have access to skilled healthcare workers. That's when now you can reduce the mortality.
Concurring with Dr. Njuguna, Malawi Health Equity Network Mehin Executive Director George Jobe has underscored the importance of research, innovation and collective action in addressing pressing health challenges, but has warned that funding gaps remain.
Always reminded the government that we need to meet that commitment. When we interact with the Minister of Finance, the question has been where we get the money. So during budget consultations, we have made some suggestions. We have seen some of them are taken. For example, motor vehicle insurances, that when an accident happens, something must also go to the health sector. We advocated for establishment of a national health fund so that there is no intermingling of the resources when they are made for health.
Minister of Health and Sanitation Principal Secretary for Administration, Beston Chisamile, has since reaffirmed government's commitment to strengthening a science-driven healthcare system aimed at improving health outcomes and saving lives across the country.
Government, as Minister of Health and Sanitation, we already have within the Planning Directorate a unit that is looking at health financing. We are aware of the reduced financing levels that we have had over time. So what we are doing, first let me commend the government that in the last financial year there was a bit of money that was put through the insurance that we can also leverage on that as to support the domestic financing. But what we're also doing with partners, WHO included, and other partners, we're trying to look at ways where we can get more resources apart from what we are getting through Treasury.
This year's World Health Day is being observed under the theme Together for Health, Stand with Science, a call that highlights the need for scientific collaboration and evidence-based decision-making in safeguarding human, animal, and environmental health through the One Health approach. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Tandiwe Mzumara.
Newly elected block leader in Bidzi Ward in Lilongwe have been urged to clearly understand their roles and responsibilities, particularly the distinction between their duties and those of councillors, to effectively contribute to community development. National Initiative for Civic Education NICE Area Civic Education Coordinator for Lilongwe Urban Bwaira and Kampono constituency Alexander Malika said block leaders play a critical role as the first point of contact in driving development initiatives at community level. Malika made the remarks during an orientation and welcome meeting for the newly elected block leaders in Bidzi Ward, as Chaudhry Chilanga with the details.
Speaking in an interview, Malika commended the ward councillor for organizing the orientation, saying it will help strengthen leadership structures at the grassroots. He said NICE will continue providing civic education to ensure communities are well represented in development activities.
We need to thank the organizers, especially the council of the area, Madam Tembo. People, they just coming here in order to showcase or to come and they listen carefully concerning about the difference between the block leaders and the duties of council.
Bidzi Ward Councillor Missy Tembo challenged the block leaders to exercise good leadership and avoid abusing their positions. Tembo emphasized that leadership comes with responsibility and called on the leaders to serve their communities with integrity and respect.
Let me challenge the block leaders. As a leader, you are expected to guide and serve people with integrity and respect. Abusing or mistreating others is not acceptable and it does not reflect true leadership.
One of the newly elected block leaders from Area 2 residential area, David Tim, expressed the readiness to serve and promote inclusivity in his area. Tim said he is committed to ensuring the development initiatives benefit everyone regardless of background, adding that he will prioritize vulnerable groups, including people with disabilities, when distributing relief items.
And I'll make sure that whatever I'm going to do actually in Area 2 residential, everyone has to benefit on it. In fact, I'm not looking at what skin color is or whatever, but what. So I know that I'll have some challenges, but through God, I'll pass through.
The orientation meeting also saw the newly elected block leaders receiving their certificates as part of their official recognition.
And finally, in international news, Cameroon confirmed on Monday the death of 16 of its citizens involved alongside the Russian military in Ukraine. The Cameroonian Ministry of External Relations published a list of 16 names it had obtained through a verbal note from the Russian embassy in Yaoundé on March 5, 2026. We have an Africa News report read by Falis Chizombe.
The document said the death of these Cameroonian nationals occurred in the zone of the so-called Special Military Operation, a term used by Lasiato described its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, launched in February 2022. The names of the 16 citizens were read on national radio on Monday. Authorities called on the families to the deceased to reach out to the government. This is the first time that Yaoundé confirms the death of Cameroonian fighters involved with Russian military in Ukraine. In February, an investigation from the collective All Eyes on Wena found that hundreds of African combatants enlisted in the Russian military between 2023 and mid-2025 had died. With 94 deaths out of 335 fighters, Cameroon recorded the highest death toll among African contingents. In November 2025, Kiev said Moscow had recruited over 1,400 African nationals to fight in its war against Ukraine. Over the past months, several African countries, including Kenya and South Africa, have had to address cases of citizens allegedly tricked into joining Russian armed forces.
And that concludes our news bulletin right here on Luntha Television. But before I leave, top stories once again. Pope Leo XIV urges Christians to be voices for peace, justice, and compassion. Leader of government in Parliament vows accurate and comprehensive park report on Amaris Hotel deal. HRDC raises alarm over rising murder cases, calls for agent security and economic intervention. And in international news, Cameroon confirms death of 16 nationals enlisted in Russian army. Many things should go to our news department as well as production department. And this has been Patrick Pooper. Thank you for watching and keep watching Luntha Television, and bye for now.
Service Charter ndi ndondomeko yomwe nthambi za boma zikugwiritsa ntchito potumikira anthu ndi cholinga chotukula ntchito za ulimi kuti alimi akhale ndi upangiri okwanira, za maphunziro kuti ophunzira alandire maphunziro oyenera, zosamalira chilengedwe kuti anthu apewe mchitidwe wodzetsa kusintha kwa nyengo, za umoyo kuti anthu alandire thandizo la kuchipatala moyenera komanso mu nthawi yache, za chitetezo kuti anthu athandizidwe ndi apolisi